Listen to me carefully, because what I'm about to tell you today could change your prayer life forever. For 17 years, I stood on the other side. I was the one blocking prayers. I was the one sent to destroy destinies. I was the one making sure your breakthroughs never came. And today, I'm going to expose the 3 laws that we feared most in the kingdom of darkness. The 3 laws that made certain prayers absolutely impossible for us to stop. My name is Obioma Nwanko, and I am from Port Harcourt in Rivers State, Nigeria. I used to be a woman who practiced witchcraft at the highest levels, but today I have embraced Islam, and I stand before you as a living testimony that no matter how deep you've gone, redemption is possible. And more importantly, I'm here to tell you that your prayers are more powerful than you've ever imagined. Let me take you back to where it all began. I was only 12 years old when my grandmother initiated me. In our family, it wasn't seen as evil. It was seen as power, as protection, as heritage. Obioma, she told me, the spiritual world is more real than this physical one, and those who control the spiritual control everything. By the time I was 16, I could travel in the spirit realm. By 23, I was attending high-level meetings in the Marine Kingdom, and by 30, I had become what they called a prayer monitor, someone specifically assigned to track and block prayers of powerful believers. You see, in the kingdom of darkness, we had hierarchies, we had assignments, we had territories, and we had one primary mission: stop the prayers that threatened our kingdom. But here's what you need to understand, and this is critical. We couldn't stop every prayer. In fact, there were certain prayers that terrified us. There were certain believers we couldn't even get close to. And there were 3 specific laws that, when activated, made our powers completely useless. Now, before I reveal these 3 laws, I need to tell you something that might shock you. The prayers we blocked most easily weren't the prayers of unbelievers. They weren't even the prayers of people who were living in sin. No, no, no. The prayers we blocked most successfully were the prayers of sincere, devoted, religious people who were doing almost everything right. Let that sink in for a moment. People who prayed 5 times a day, people who fasted regularly, people who gave charity, people who attended every religious gathering, yet their prayers were stuck at the ceiling, and we celebrated every single time. Why? Because they were missing the 3 laws. They had the form of prayer, but not the force. They had the ritual, but not the reality. They had the words, but not the weapon. And the kingdom of darkness knew that as long as these 3 laws remained hidden, we could continue our assignments undisturbed. The first law that made prayers impossible to block is what I call the law of specific intention. In our monitoring meetings, we would listen to thousands of prayers every night. And do you know what we heard most often? Vague prayers, generic prayers. Prayers that sounded like, "Oh Allah, bless me. Oh God, help me. Oh Lord, make a way for me." And every time we heard these prayers, we would laugh, because a vague prayer creates a vague target, and a vague target is easy to deflect. But then, and this is where everything changed for us, we would occasionally encounter a believer who prayed with laser-sharp precision. Someone who said, "Ya Allah, I need exactly 50,000 naira by Friday at 3 p.m. to pay my children's school fees. I'm asking you specifically, and I'm expecting it specifically." When we heard prayers like that, panic would fill our meetings, because specific prayers create specific assignments in the heavenly realm. When you pray specifically, angels are dispatched specifically, resources are released specifically, and we in the Dark Kingdom had no jurisdiction over what had been specifically decreed. Here's the secret. Generality is the enemy of manifestation. Specificity is the language of breakthrough. The creator of the universe responds to the details of your request because he cares about the details of your life. When you tell him exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly why you need it, you activate a spiritual law that darkness cannot override. But let me tell you something even more shocking. There was a second category of prayers we could block, and this one will surprise you even more. These were prayers from people who were praying for the right things with the right intentions, but with the wrong heart posture. I remember a specific assignment I was given. There was a man, a devout Muslim brother, who prayed tahajjud every single night. His prayers were specific, his du'as were beautiful, his words were perfect, but we blocked him for 7 years straight. Why? Because even though his prayers were directed to Allah, his heart was filled with unforgiveness toward his brother who had cheated him in business. Every night he would pray for blessings, but in the daytime he would curse his brother's name. He wanted Allah's mercy for himself, but showed no mercy to others. And the spiritual law is this: you cannot receive what you're not willing to give. This leads me to the second law. The second law is the law of alignment. In the spiritual realm, there's a principle that like attracts like. If you want mercy, you must show mercy. If you want forgiveness, you must forgive. If you want favor, you must give favor. If you want justice, you must practice justice. I've seen people pray for financial breakthrough while cheating their employees. I've seen people pray for healing while harboring bitterness that was poisoning their own souls. I've seen people pray for their children's success while dishonoring their own parents. And in the kingdom of darkness, these contradictions were our greatest weapons. We would actually encourage people to pray more while living in misalignment because we knew those prayers would never break through. But then, we would encounter someone different, someone who prayed for blessings while being a blessing, someone who asked for forgiveness while forgiving everyone who hurt them, someone whose life matched their lips, whose actions matched their appeals. Those prayers? Impossible to touch. Absolutely impossible. Because when your life aligns with your prayers, you activate a frequency that resonates with divine power. You become a clear channel. The blockage isn't in heaven, it's in the contradiction between what you're asking for and who you're being. Now I need to tell you about the moment everything changed for me. It was a Tuesday night, I remember it like yesterday. We were in a spiritual meeting, and our assignment was to block the prayers of a particular woman. She had been praying for her son who was dying of a strange illness. We had been assigned to make sure that child died, because his destiny was a threat to our kingdom. For 3 weeks, we successfully blocked her prayers. Every hospital visit brought worse news. Every treatment failed. The doctors gave up. But this woman didn't stop praying. Then one night, something happened that shook the entire Marine Kingdom. This woman prayed a prayer that was so specific, so aligned with her character, and so filled with what I'm about to tell you as the third law, that when her words reached the heavens, there was an explosion in the spiritual realm. I'm not speaking metaphorically, I mean a literal explosion of light that scattered our entire monitoring system. Demons fled. Altars crumbled, and I, for the first time in 17 years, felt pure, overwhelming fear. Within 72 hours, her son was completely healed. Doctors called it a miracle, but I knew exactly what had happened. She had activated the third law. The third law is the law of persistent faith. Not just faith, persistent faith. Not just prayer, persistent prayer. Not just belief, persistent belief that refuses to accept no as the final answer. You see, in the kingdom of darkness, we had a strategic time frame. We knew that most people give up after a few days, a few weeks, or at most a few months. Our strategy was simple: delay the answer long enough until faith dies. And it worked 95% of the time. But that 5%, that 5% terrified us. Those were the ones who prayed like that mother. The ones who said, I don't care what the doctor says. I don't care what my bank account says. I don't care what the circumstances look like. I know my Lord has heard me, and I will not stop until I see the manifestation. That kind of faith doesn't just pray, it declares. It doesn't just ask, it expects. It doesn't just hope, it knows. Here's the secret that the kingdom of darkness never wanted you to discover. Your breakthrough isn't delayed because your prayer wasn't heard. Your breakthrough is delayed because your faith is being tested to produce a testimony so powerful that it will liberate not just you, but generations after you. The woman who prayed for her son didn't know it, but her persistent faith destroyed an entire network of witchcraft operations in Port Harper that night. Her one prayer, combined with these 3 laws, did more damage to the kingdom of darkness than 100 generic prayers ever could. That night changed everything for me. I went home after that spiritual explosion, and for the first time in 17 years, I couldn't sleep. Not because of any ritual or meeting, but because a question kept echoing in my mind. If this woman's prayers are this powerful, how much more powerful is the God she's praying to? I started investigating. I started asking questions. And slowly, the deception that had held me for 17 years began to crack. Within 3 months, I renounced witchcraft. Within 6 months, I embraced Islam. And within a year, I dedicated my life to exposing the very kingdom I once served. Today, I stand before you not as someone who has all the answers, but as someone who has seen both sides. I've seen the power of darkness, but I've also seen the infinitely greater power of light. I've seen prayers blocked, but I've also seen prayers that shattered every demonic barrier. So let me bring this home for you. If you're listening to me today and your prayers feel blocked, I want you to examine 3 things. First, are your prayers specific? Stop praying in generalities. Get specific. Write down exactly what you need, exactly when you need it, and exactly what you'll do when you receive it. The spiritual realm responds to clarity, not confusion. Second, is your life aligned with your prayers? You cannot pray for peace while creating chaos. You cannot pray for abundance while practicing greed. You cannot pray for love while spreading hatred. Check your alignment. Let your character match your requests. Third, are you persistent in faith? Don't let delays deceive you into doubt. Every delay is not a denial. Every test is not a punishment. Your persistence is the proof of your faith, and your faith is the foundation of your breakthrough. I need to tell you something urgent before I close. The kingdom of darkness is more organized than you think. Right now, as you're hearing this message, there are monitoring spirits assigned to you, to your family, to your destiny. They have files on you. They know your weaknesses. They study your patterns. But here's the good news. They are absolutely powerless against a believer who activates these 3 laws. When you combine specific intention, perfect alignment, and persistent faith, you become what we in the dark kingdom used to call an untouchable. Not because you're perfect, but because you're connected to a power that predates darkness itself. Allah doesn't need your perfect performance. He desires your sincere heart. Your Creator doesn't require your flawless record. He honors your faithful pursuit. Your prayers don't need to be eloquent. They need to be authentic, aligned, and persistent. And here's the final truth that I must leave you with. The kingdom of darkness doesn't fear your religion. It doesn't fear your prayers. It doesn't even fear your fasting. What it fears, absolutely, is a believer who truly understands the power they carry. A believer who prays with these 3 laws activated. A believer who refuses to quit, refuses to doubt, and refuses to accept defeat. Right now, you have a choice. You can continue praying the way you've always prayed and continue getting the results you've always gotten. Or you can activate these 3 laws today and watch the spiritual realm shift in your favor. The same power that exploded our demonic monitoring system is available to you right now. The same authority that healed that dying child is available for your situation right now. The same breakthrough that transformed my entire life is available to you right now. So here's what I want you to do starting today. First, write down 3 specific prayers, not vague wishes, specific, detailed, time-stamped requests. Look at those prayers every single day until they manifest. Second, examine your heart. Is there anyone you need to forgive? Any area where your life contradicts your prayers? Any alignment issue you've been ignoring? Deal with it today. Your breakthrough is waiting on the other side of your obedience. Third, make a commitment to persistent faith. Decide right now that you will not give up, no matter how long it takes. Not next week, not next month, not next year. Your persistence will become your testimony. And I need to know this, from the moment you activate these 3 laws, the kingdom of darkness loses its tower over your destiny. From this moment forward, your prayers become unstoppable, your faith becomes unshakable, and your breakthrough becomes inevitable. I was once on the other side, blocking prayers and destroying destinies. But today, I stand with you as your sister in faith, telling you that victory is not just possible, it's promised to those who understand and apply these 3 hidden laws. The power is in your hands, the choice is yours, and the breakthrough you've been waiting for is closer than you've ever imagined. Now go, pray specifically, live aligned, stay persistent, and watch heaven move on your behalf. Allahu Akbar, God is the greatest. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your breakthrough. Don't let another day pass living beneath the power that's already within you. Activate these 3 laws today and step into the unstoppable life you were created to live.